All right. I think today is going to be a Q&A day. And what I'm going to do is invite people from Telegram. I might regret this. And listen, if you're an idiot, I'll drop you. So no worries. But here is the invite link. I just sent it in. If you want to pop on and say anything, you can. Let's see. Guess you can't move the mouse too fast. Whatever. And ask me anything. Just from, I've had my Twitter back now for a year with a few like 1-day suspensions or whatever on October 7th, ironically, before the shit went down. A couple in February. And so I've got to interact with the general public. And man, it's bad. Varg pointed out to me that Twitter's the top one because the general public on Instagram has got to be the lowest. And then Facebook is pretty abysmal. And so on throughout the social media apps, it's all bad. Twitter's like supposed to be where the actual journalists are and the, basically our best and brightest. And I'm just not seeing it. Seen a couple dozen best and brightest and a lot of morons. And it makes me worried about the future. I don't think we're passing knowledge on to the next generation. I don't think they know anything. They get stoned and play video games. It's not inevitable that human progress just keeps going along up and up. It can just nosedive. And that's what I'm seeing. Getting influencers making more than a doctor. It's all about the man. Here, someone's brave enough to join. Make sure you want to put your camera on. Maybe not. Right. So, all right, Darkness, Driz. If you got a question or you just want to rant about anything? Nope, they left. Okay. I'm not kidding. You can really come on. You don't have to. You can write questions in Rumble too. Someone said, remind us again where Trump and Melania met. I don't actually know. I think it was at the New York Fashion Show, where he was actually on a date and asked for her number, very Trump-like. She told him no, but she got his number and then I guess called him a few days later and they met up, went on a date, whatever. She's drawn to his energy and his money. He is high energy. He has a lot of money. And what's wrong with that? People like, you only like that guy for his money. And you only like that girl for her looks. Whatever. You both get what you want. What's the problem? Questions. Come on. Fire them at me. We just did like 4 very long Jeffrey Epstein podcasts. One on Red Ice, one on Fresh and Fit, one on, there's somebody. Sean Atwood. Couple people. All right, we'll go with Blah and Mo. Fire away. I think they're listening and there's like a minute lag time. You're going to have to watch it on the... All right, neither one of these are talking. Cowan. You got to... maybe this guest thing doesn't work. Just write it in Rumble then. Thinking about getting affiliate links for the shop. Have to find some way around PayPal is the only problem since we're not allowed to use it since they support pedophiles. Jefferson20 for $1 says, got my boss hooked on the ANC report, hour and a half lunches for 2024. Thanks, Rye. Well, yeah, we've been doing a lot of Epstein content. And, of course, there's ongoing wars in Ukraine and Gaza. They essentially murdered Gonzalo Lira. He knew it too, man. He tried to call a bunch of people right before he went across the border. And the problem was, for most of his friends in America, that was like 3 a.m. 4 the afternoon here. Anyway, he probably should have gone to the U.S. Embassy or the Chilean Embassy, but he tried to cross, knowing because he knew he'd already been told you're going to be found guilty, and that's just 5 to 8 years in a torture dungeon. He made about 6-7 months. Let me tell you what happened to him before. You can guys keep doing questions. But he got arrested the first time. They broke one of his ribs. They hit him in the sternum so hard. It was, gave him a huge bruise in the middle of his chest. He had trouble breathing. Some people held him as another prisoner took a toothpick and started scratching the white part of one of his eyes, saying you can still read if you have the other one right. Because of the Chilean embassy, he got a wellness check, but the Ukrainian that came in there, he takes his shirt off, sees the bruises and stuff everywhere. I don't see nothing. It's just like, look, you got a wellness check. It's all about the appearance, the image. They walk through the motions. So at least they got to stop, but they'd always have the other prisoners beat his ass. They'd outsource it to them. They're forced to do it. And eventually that's what killed him. He officially had died of ammonia and edema, but his face was all blue and purplish because he wasn't getting enough oxygen. He was passing out because they beat his chest in. His lungs were collapsing. No one would help him. They didn't even know he's being tortured or anything until he failed to meet a court date from the illness. And they looked at him. He's supposed to get some procedure to help him. I doubt they did it. They just said, like, oh, look, he's at the hospital. Sure. They wanted him dead. And why? Because he was accurate in his reporting and they could reach him. They'd like to kill all these journalists. They made a list of people they want to destroy. He was in Ukraine. They could grab him. When he got out of prison the first time, it was sort of like a wink, wink, just get out of here. So instead of showing up to court, he tried to run because he had already been told you're going to be found guilty no matter what. They wanted him. They left his social media and everything up. He didn't have access to it. They had all his passwords and everything. But it was still generating revenue. But they beat his ass and extorted $70,000 on hand out of his bank. Another 10,000 or 11,000, I think, in like cash on hand emergency money. They just took it. All in all, about $100,000 out of what they could get from his YouTube and whatever. If you're thinking like, why is his site even still up? You might want to go download all his videos, by the way. Because it's still generating revenue. And they have access to everything. Because they forced him to give it to him. So all that was transferred to prison guards and stuff, making money off of that. His Twitter still exists. We still have his DM messages. Elon will probably not erase that. And he left some good messages on there. We basically told you a list of people who had either been kidnapped, killed, or both in Ukraine, opposition leaders and journalists and things. And then they killed him. Joe Biden was not interested in all at freeing an American prisoner. He's not a transgender black lesbian drug addict. So, no news about that. Tucker Carlson covered it after he was fired. His father was on the Duran report the day before he died. Please save my son. He has 2 children. I think his daughter, I want to say her name's Veronica, something like that. She's 9 when I talked to her. She's probably 10. He's got a little boy. He's like 7-ish. and they'll never see their father again. That's why he lived in Ukraine, for his kids. They're not in Kharkiv. I'm not saying where they went. Just saying they're not in Kharkiv. I have the work he wasn't allowed to say, since I am allowed to say it, up on my Substack. I'll probably repost that again so that y'all can see what he uncovered. And then there's our interviews together, and that's that. I mean, there's no point in it. He didn't do anything illegal, and he wasn't a Russian agent or anything. He didn't speak Russian. He wasn't. He didn't have any inside knowledge. He just lived there. He said a lot of the same things I do. And this is it. They want us dead. And they'll leave you there, no matter where you're from, to die. And it's getting to be that way in some European states. They already will jail you for the wrong historical opinion in certain European states. And it's getting to be like that. I mean, France, Rumble's not allowed in France at all. And the EU banned RT, even Telegram. Can't have it. Can't see news from Russia. This is how much they need to work in darkness, by the way. Because if you had free speech, it wouldn't matter. Koozie Ball with a dead link. And Ryan, have you ever discussed the international bankers that established the state of Israel and IMO the source of all their power? I've not only discussed how Israel was created, and it wasn't by just international bankers, unless you're talking about, I guess in a way, sure, because of the Rothschild and Balfour. But as far as the terrorists who physically created that state with Haganah and Palmach, yes, I've been over it. I have a movie called How Terrorists Formed a Nation on my website. It's free. And that gets all into Menachem Begin and Ben Gurion and his goons and the Jewish Agency and all the things they did, blowing up hotels and embassies and assassinating Palestinians and Deir Yassin and the massacres and the head choppings and attacking British ships and then later American ships. They were and still are terrorists. And there's a reason the main street in Tel Aviv is called Rothschild. There's a reason Rothschild's on the money. That's how it was paid for. They had gun running. They set up cells, Zionist cells. People always want to say, oh, the Theodore Herzl. No, Zionism is as old as Judaism. There has always been Jewish supremacy. It's intrinsic to that religion. A very common interpretation of that faith is that they are a superior bloodline and that God granted them this land. You can see it in Numbers 13, where this is, go see what's over there. We're going to go take it. You can see in Deuteronomy 7, I'll just slaughter everyone. Samuel also talks about it, kill them all, even livestock. They think that land's theirs because a deity gave it to them. Comment channel slaps in the dead Hamilton and says, now that you hit the goal for the remake, any ETA when it comes out, also any chance on a JFK film after this? Well, I assume that I haven't gotten the money because it was the weekend or whatever. And so that Monday morning US time, maybe it'll be transferred. It's there like on the Gibson Go site. It's not in my bank account yet. So I have to get that first. I'm just going to be calm and assume it's coming. Once I have it, I can start paying people. We've already been working on the script. I can't do any editing until I have a tower, which doesn't get out of customs until the 19th for some reason. I'm not sure if I'm in North or South Korea sometimes with the mail. Like if you're Korean, everything works fine. But if you're not, you can't use the mail. You can't buy a cell phone. You can't go to the hospital. You can't do shit. You can't even pay for a cab unless you have cash. And they extort you on the ATM, like 30% fee if you want to get money out. So working on that visa. I'm still technically Japanese. Still got a Japanese visa too. Um, it's a process. I'm not gonna get on all that, but you have to wait till I get my tower. It'll be out this year. I know that, but I don't know. It's a hard project. Talking about 5 hours of content in the last one. So, and we have to get that all up to NUMEC quality. But I don't know. Summer, I guess. I'm not doing it. Like I already did all the research and stuff. I will record all the narration as soon as we decide the order we're going to do it chronologically, how to tackle this project. So I don't know. But this year, I don't have the money yet. So centrality for 2. When are you having Dr. Shiva back on? You know what? I'm going to hit him up today and ask when he's free. I think that's an excellent idea. I don't know if I should do Rumble or Twitter Spaces. I think Rumble because Twitter's retarded. But so I'll ask him. I'll put it to him what he wants to do. Between us, we have like 500,000 followers on Twitter, so could be big. Never know. All right, looking at the studio. Yeah, no one wanted to hit that link, huh? Few people did, but they didn't say anything. Lira should be the canary in the coal mine. I mean, his work's still up. They're still extorting him. I would hope that ought to go to his family. It's not that anyone in YouTube has a soul, but his videos are there and could still generate revenue, some, and that ought to go to his kids and to his wife. Right now it's frozen. Or they should give the account to his wife, maybe, or his father. I don't know. I doubt he got to write a will and they would have just thrown it away anyway. He has a sister as well. Now he's there with Piper and Ramondo. They let him die. They let him languish and die. Twitter shadow bans the fuck out of Dr. Shiva. Well, I don't think they're shadow banning me yet, knock on wood. Maybe I'll you know what? Why mess with them? It's still full of bugs. Sometimes it drops and stuff. Twitter Spaces doesn't work very well. I think Rumble's the place to be. So that's what we're gonna do. Rumble, young man, Rumble. Well, I'll get him on for that. Am I cutting in and out? It's fine. Do not fuck with me about audio stuff. This is a brand new laptop, mic, and everything. So I think it's just you. Are you having issues? Oh. Are you using a phone or an actual computer? Anyway, you can super chat. I think Rumble's been pretty solid. Pretty good on free speech, too. They have had DOS attacks and things, though. And they really need a stagnant stream key, which they don't have. FRDSD, who's in the darkness. You have to hit your mic on and everything if you want to talk. I'll give this person a minute. I think there's some lag time. You can drop Rumble and listen on this, by the way, and that'll get rid of the lag if you're on the show. All right, we'll give him a second. Let's play Loud Agreed Martin.
Reed Martin, proud producer and proprietor, patriotic projectile party poppers. Got some uppity brown people making trouble for your empire? Replace them with a charred freighter and a cloud of white smoke. So remember, if your next geostrategic boondoggle's going awry, don't call us, we'll call you.
Are you there? I guess not. All right. You can click the link and you can talk on the show. The link is in Telegram. Or you can write questions, but don't click the link if you're just going to sit there and not say anything. That's weird. It's lurky. I know it's probably tech stuff. I don't know. It worked fine for the John McCain death anniversary, though. That person seems to be a full minute behind. All right, I'll get Dr. Shiva back on. Who else should we get on? We should make a list. I invited Larry Johnson. I know he was friends with Lira as well. Lira really trusted him, and he thought highly of Larry Johnson. As do I. Guy's badass, teaching firearms and speaking truth to power. Sonar 21, son of a new American Revolution. 7, let's see. The anti-Zog ticket is really just Dr. Shiva. They're all gaffy, but no one's worse than Nikki Haley. That's why you should hashtag never Nikki. Phil Giraldi, good idea. Let's get him back on. I want to get his thoughts on Yemen and everything else. It's sad, man. Yemen and Iraq, too. They had to watch their children starve to death. And people are wondering why the people of Yemen are pirating ships. Why not blockade the Red Sea? Israel has blockaded Gaza for 18 years. No ships in or out. I actually lost the ability to get hold of Lucas. He gave me his email in DM on Twitter, but then he got outright banned on Twitter, and I lost it before I copied it down. Ryan Forever sends in a debt, or Andrew Jackson says, "Thank you for speaking the truth. I have learned more from you than anyone else on the internet. Looking forward to Dawson University." I am too. And again, all this, everything was put on hold when my computer died. It's just sitting here in pieces now. The tower is useless. The 19th, that's the magic day. That's when I'm supposedly supposed to get the tower in from Customs. I've got teachers ready. My brother's an obvious pick. I think Dr. Ellen Rudolph would be a good pick. Who would you like me to bring on board to teach a class at Dawson University? I'd like some names. Someone said did Building 7 collapse because of the tunnels? No. That was wild, and they still don't have an explanation for what they were doing down there. It wasn't COVID, because that was over already. There was some explanation, like they needed to expand the property because that's what the dead rabbi had, his final wish was, and they think he's the Messiah. And I don't buy that. Thomas DeLorenzo, that's a great idea. He actually agreed to that already and then got lost in the shuffle. I think a Thomas DeLorenzo Lincoln stream would be epic. Andrew Tate, possible. He's a very busy man. I do talk to him on Twitter now and then. He was up in the mountains in Romania doing something. I don't even know if they're home yet. It's beautiful up there. You should see the Tate's Rumble, just a few minutes, showing the mountains up there in Romania with the sled dogs and all. It is epic. Norman Finkelstein. I reached out to him. He's been on the show a few times before, but he's in pretty high demand, and I don't think he deals with that. I think he's got some kids that filter his email, so I don't have a direct line anymore. And some kids run his Twitter, and they're pretty leftist, so they just don't relay my messages. Owen Benjamin, I've asked him, he never does it. But Finkelstein's been on before. Met him in person too. He's good. It's always a good guest. We recently had one with Adam. Nelson is almost impossible to reach somehow. Like all of a sudden, he just tapped out, I guess. We did 9/11 stream though. Sneeko put in a good word for you with Jake Shields and Libra. I mean, Jake and I talk anyway. He already agreed to come on the show, and then my tower broke. So I was like, you know what? And then he had UFC stuff and whatever. That's nice of Sneeko. Who is Libra? I don't know who that even is, but it's nice anyway. Right? How accurate is Gone with the Wind on ACW? Accurate as Schindler's Pissed. I could never watch all of Gone with the Wind. It's like 8 hours long. My sister seen it so many times, likes it. As far as like cinematography, the dresses and the Southern architecture and all that, it's really cool visually. But it was just like, I know what the ending's going to be, burning Atlanta, and I don't want to watch that shit. And it's mostly about Scarlett O'Hara. It's not so much about the war. It's about this fucking melodrama of the women. It's just, I don't know. I cannot tell you. It was so bad I couldn't watch it all. I'll tell you that much. So how accurate is it? It's accurate for what it's focusing on, which is not the war. It's more like how people lived who weren't on the front line, and I guess you ought to look at it as, listen, man, this is a movie. It's entertainment. It's not a history documentary or something. So it's an A's list of stellar actors and very pleasing to look at. But if you're trying to learn about the Civil War, given that it's 8 hours, you're not going to get much out of Gone with the Wind. Just in, everybody had different angles and different reasons for supporting or not supporting this war. And at the end of the day, civilians suffer greatly. I mean, Sherman burned Columbus, burned Atlanta, burned cities, salted fields. They wanted total destruction, genocide if they could. Franken Foreskin drops into 25. Says, I read on Ukraine Telegram a couple of posts saying some Ukraine nationalists plan to get rid of Zelensky. And the Rumble chat went by too fast. And Jewish oligarchs. I'm not good in Ukrainian. What do you think? I think anybody that was planning to assassinate an oligarch or the president would be smart enough not to write about it on Telegram. So it just sounds like shit talk to me. Red Pilled with a 20 says, have you have more than earned more than this small amount. Hey, thank you. I'll probably gonna buy medicine with that. Been sick since like December 4th, off and on. RM Zimzus with the Dead Lincoln says Ron Paul teaching a class on sound money and economic recovery. Ritter on the wars of his generation. Corey on JFK. I've made a list. I doubt I can get Dr. Paul to teach a class at Dawson University. That would be amazing. He's already a millionaire. He doesn't really need the pay, and he sort of does that anyway on his own Liberty Report. So just watch that. Ritter on the war, I think his plate's full, but I'll say, listen, dude, maybe we can arrange something, just have a affiliate, like some of the videos he does anyway. Like his book is so good. And I don't know, but I think people buy it because they support Scott Ritter and they don't actually read it. And if you have his book, just start reading it. Read a chapter, and then you'll end up reading the whole thing. I'd like him to teach a class. I just think he's doing sometimes 8 interviews a day, you know. So I don't know, but I'm like, look, this isn't live. You just have to make coursework. And he could do the course like on his book. Here's how we negotiated a way out of a nuclear war. Make that series, stick it on there, and you're done for the rest of your life. That's up there because that's what happened. It's historical. That's the good thing about things like history and math and stuff, is once you make the course, that's that. Math doesn't change, and neither does, well, history does get revised, but it is what it is, So, and Corey on JFK, that's an idea. I want more. I'd have to butt in on that course too, but a JFK course is interesting. If I could gather some of the nerds, man, well, that's a headache though. Maybe I'll put him in charge of. I'll talk to him later. Any other names? I could do classes on conspiracies that actually happened, like debunking the kook, and here's what actually went down. I could probably teach a master class on conspiracy myself. Frankenforeskin says, I wasn't talking about the Ukrainian guys saying that they do it, but post suggesting that it was about to happen. Well, fingers crossed on that. Yeah, most of the oligarchs have fled. Zelensky is refusing to negotiate, and they're just about out of meat to put in the meat grinder. I'd hate to call for someone's assassination, though. I just don't see another way out. He doesn't care how many Ukrainians die. He is personally enriching himself off this war. And he needs a bullet in the nose. Battery saver's on. Uh-oh. Let's plug this in. The joys of laptops is you can't. Is it back? I hope it's back. I don't know. Let me know when it comes on. I know. Dude, I know. Quit saying muted. I saw it the first 50 times. Is it back? Yes. Okay. There's a question about the Federal Reserve and Eustace Mullins and Ezra Pound. I don't know if you heard it or not. I said that, yes, I've read that. I remember reading that back one Christmas vacation in Virginia. But it was I agree more with Bill Still. It doesn't matter if you have a fiat currency or not. What matters is the money supply. And creating money at interest is just a game of musical chairs with that you're going to lose. Money has to be tied to labor or it loses its value. If you print it, loan it out, create it in any way at all so that it's easy, there's more money without more work, then it's going to lose value. All right. This was not an issue of the button changing on mute. What it is the laptop was about to die and I had to take a cord and stick it in to charge it while I'm on the stream. And then this wire that goes into the microphone is very fragile. It doesn't click in. If I touch it or hit it with my knee or anything, it'll come out and it'll mute everything. You should be reading the Unabomber. Mike Gill is full of shit. Next question. Eddie Bravo, that's a good idea. I haven't talked to him since like November. I'm looking at the chat. All right. Let's do this commercial here. What is this?
Globalist Luciferians and their Islamist supplicants are pouring across the borders of several Western nations, including our own. The thrust of their zeal threatens to violate the sovereignty of our way of life, but we can never let it threaten our bodies. Presenting Homogard, a male chastity phallic blocker. It's designed to prevent any jihadi penetration to your rectum while applying moderate pressure to the prostate gland to promote your masculine vitality. Homogard. It is also equipped with an array of nodes to detect the brain activity of any potential Wahhabi salami near you, which will silently alert you with a subtle vibration. Oh my god. This is a true breakthrough in health and defense, but don't take my word for it. Homogard made me feel safe, but I'm insecure in a whole nother way now. I never knew just how many Wahhabi terrorists were near me all the time. Thanks, Homogard. It's not a stretch of the imagination that our own bodies are under threat of an invasion, because Homogard has stretched out far more than that for me. We can and will defeat the globalist scum on the home front, but we need to make sure we're well protected around back. Homogard. Hi, is this the line for free helicopter rides?
Will you go back on Fresh and Fit? I was just on Fresh and Fit like 4 days ago. Then someone said Sean Atwood. I was on Sean Atwood's show 2 days ago. Just not YouTube, guys. I'm not allowed on YouTube. Oh, Fed Reacts. Yeah, I was on Fed Reacts. It had the Fresh and Fit logo when they called me. Whatever. Someone said they're afraid. I'm scared to walk over grates now. Yeah, you never know. It's like, what's that? The clown or whatever with the red balloon. Might have some weird rabbis down there grabbing your ankles. Riv said, how many new names in the court documents are you confident had a significant role with Epstein? Like 3. I already had all those names. It's good to have them verified, further verified by these court documents, but most of what's in the court documents had already been leaked. Like, we had a lot of that information from other sources anyway. It's just the normies are getting hold of it, and of course they're kookifying it. Somebody did this cool AI rendering of like Epstein's Island with the Clintons and stuff, and of course they put Leonardo DiCaprio and all these people who were never there in the movie because dumb fucks only read headlines, and greedy fucks will put celebrity names in headlines even though the article says, yeah, they're actually not there, but their name was mentioned because they want you to click on it. And so I'm like, wow, you spent all these hours of time and then put the wrong people in there. Sucks so bad. The kooks are going to win, though. There's a YouTube with your name and Numek on it. What, somebody put Numek on their YouTube so they could get money? Of course they would. Pennywise, yeah. He has Penny in his name. It's like somebody rolled a penny down the grate. Owen Benjamin says you have to pay the gay away. Okay. Tropical Rocket with a 5 says all the arguments about who runs shit are dumb. In the Fed, what kind of idiot would tolerate a crypto issued to you at interest and you don't know who owns it? What kind of moron thinks crypto is the answer against fiat money when you have to exchange the crypto back into money before you can spend it on anything? And you have to pay a fee to get an access to your own shit. And you have to liquidate it, meaning sell it to some other sucker before you can get money for it to do things like pay your rent, buy a sandwich, whatever. You're just setting up an expensive middleman, which is essentially glorified online gambling where you're speculating on shitso coins based on hype as to whether or not at this particular time more suckers will buy it than not so that you can sell it for more than what you bought it for. It is online gambling. It is not really money, and it doesn't do anything to challenge the Fed because you're just exchanging it back into real money before you can use it anyway. And you buy it with actual money too. See, you're like, isn't that like gold? And right, no, it's not like gold. It physically takes effort and labor to get gold out of the ground. It doesn't do that for crypto. And don't give me this shit like, well, the computer has to do these math equations. And it's inevitable. X amount of time is X amount of cryptos mined or whatever. It's not really being mined, though. There's no mine. There's no labor being done. It just, you could do it automatically with the timer and just say this much is released per week or something. Whatever. It doesn't have value other than the assumption that you can sell it for more than what you bought it for. That is the only reason people buy crypto, is trying to get rich. And you have to pay a fee, and sometimes you have to use shit coins to get your other coins. Then you have to pay the exchange. If it's a large amount, you can't liquidate it. So if you're I cash out $1,000, I'm sure you can. Now do 500,000 or even 50,000, and you can't find a buyer for many, many days. And by the time you sell it, it's not at the price you wanted to sell it at anymore. So you get stiffed. And then these exchanges routinely lock people out. They locked me out. They locked out Red Ice, Henrik and Lana. They just took all their money and said, nah. Coinbase will ban you for political reasons. They all will. Sometimes the state, like China, just said, none of these. And everybody lost everything. It's gambling. It's dangerous. It's stupid. It doesn't challenge the Fed. It is not like the way around, owning the money supply. Yes, it is traceable. You say it isn't, yet that's not true, except Monero, I guess. Only thing crypto's done is benefited a few who got in and out at the right time of the pyramid scheme and allowed people to use it to buy illegal drugs and human trafficking and stuff. That's it. Riv says, so do the people talking about Bill Ackman get suspended from Twitter? What was that about? Yes, temporarily. Not just suspended, banned. They banned those accounts. And then within a day or so, they were back again. A large part because a lot of people were kvetching about it. I think what got Elon Musk his ear was George Galloway. George Galloway said, I forget which one it was, but he was sticking up for one of the journalists saying, are you out of your mind? This person's da-da-da-da. They were brought back, and then subsequently everyone got returned. But it just showed, whoa, Bill Ackman throwing his weight around, doing that ADL thing, doing the Kanye thing. Like, we don't have this kind of power. Ban him, take his banks. They showed, yes, you do. They still have employees at Twitter who will ban you, who shadow ban you. This shadow banning crap has to end. The problem is there's no method to, like, you can appeal to Twitter if you get banned sometimes. at least now, and say, hey, I shouldn't have been banned. Look at this. But if you're shadow banned, there's nothing to click to say, I think my account is shadow banned. Like Fresh and Fit is shadow banned. Dr. Shiva is shadow banned. Adam Fitzgerald's shadow banned. The only reason I wasn't shadow banned is because I was outright banned. So when they returned me with a clean slate. But they still put all these things, and the dorks or whatever have not gone into the code and figured out how to lift all these bans that have been placed on certain people. I swear to you, it would be better for you to drop your account and make a new one. Like Dr. Shiva could make a brand new account. I know he's got like 400,000 followers, whatever it is. But it doesn't matter because it's just a number. You don't really have that reach because they pump the brakes on you. They decide who is heard and who's not heard. Freedom to speak, but not freedom of reach. They admitted it. I would like just have an algorithm that's just even. Like the more people you have, the more people who see your stuff. Don't tinker with it at all after that. Just let it be even. See what would happen in an even playing field. I think I'd be scoring touchdowns every day. Someone said they seen someone do that and it doesn't work. That's not true. Myron from Fresh and Fit made one called Unplugged, and he's already at like 60 or 70,000. Fresh and Fit was still at like 30 something thousand. And it's tied to a YouTube with millions of followers. It never goes anywhere. But yet his personal account has doubled the old account and only in a matter of months. So it works. Thing is, you need an on-ramp. If you don't have a YouTube or a Facebook or an Instagram or a Discord or something, then you can't build up your Twitter just by engaging with lots of stuff. It'd take forever. That's what I had to do. But at least I had a Telegram. But I wasn't allowed on anything else. If I had a YouTube, I could just like put my Twitter in the YouTube and I would get automatic follows every day. Tropical Rocket 20, Ryan, the point of being the Fed is a bullshit shitcoin. There is no reason we should tolerate it. Oh, Ryan, the point being the Fed is a bullshit shitcoin. Look, I'm all for getting rid of the Federal Reserve. I do not think we should issue new money at interest because you're always going to owe more than what was created. It is an impossible thing to win. What I'm saying, though, is shit coins are not the answer because they're not based on labor. You're just expanding the money supply with a digital currency that is still not tied to labor. The first people to get their hands on it benefit the most, and then it loses value over time. You have to have an influx of new suckers to prop up your shit coin, and that cannot go on indefinitely. And you have to liquidate it. That means change it into something else before you can use it for anything because of the volatility of the shit coin. No one wants to do major transactions on a coin whose value can drop 50% in a day. No one wants to sell a coin that can go up 50% in a day. It doesn't matter what direction it goes. If you have volatility, either the seller or the buyer is getting fucked when they let go of that coin. That's why they will not use it in normal commercial transaction. It is a hedge. You buy it with dollars, you hope it goes up, you sell it, kind of like a stock, except the stock's not based on how much product some company sells. The stock is based on nothing other than the hype of how many other morons you can get to buy your coin. It is a Ponzi scheme. It doesn't matter if you limit how many there are or whatever. Like right now, I could say, hey, I'm selling Super Mario coins. They're not a real thing. They're not touchable. I just made this up. There's only 1,000 Super Mario coins. Right now, I'll sell them for $100 each. So I can make $100,000 worth of coins. And you guys can buy them. And then I can do a little chart online and go, oh, look, the Super Mario coins now $105. Now 106, 107. You've already made money. But now you have to find someone who believes me and sell your coin for $106. And then I go, yeah, oh my God, it's 120, 200 a coin. This is based on absolutely nothing. I just put a chart online. As long as you can find some sucker to give you $200 for your Super Mario coin, you did make $200. But he's now down 200. Of course, these coins aren't worth anything. That just goes on as long as people have a belief in it. The problem with that is, like, if I can just create money out of nothing and I just make coins, I have now added to the already existing money supply of dollars and gold and everything else, furthering inflation. And eventually someone will not be able to sell their coins. And then, just like Beanie Babies, you can only do so many turnovers. Well, it's just ridiculous to pay exorbitant amounts of money for a stuffed bear or whatever. And then I go, oh no, it went all the way down to 90, all in like 24 hours. I guess there was a bunch of sellers. You don't know. And I can play this game all day and go, oh well. But everyone who gave me money, right? If once I dropped the coin to 90, I sold them for 100 each. I lost absolutely nothing because I sold an imaginary item. And that shit's just floating around. And people are like, oh no, oh, it's 90. Now's a good time to buy. They're really cheap. And then people buy a bunch of them and we make them go up and down. It doesn't, it's such a fucking idiot's game. Riz for 10. Did you see John, what's his name? Schindler, the former NSA counter spy, says Jeffrey Epstein was part of an Israeli influence network. Also, Alan Dershowitz and Lady Lynn Rothschild introduced him to Epstein. Yeah, that's from Bill Gertz or whatever. And like all John is doing is basing that on work like mine that have been saying that for decades, not decades, but since 2007, we've been saying this. They're a little bit Johnny come latelys, and it's like, yeah, no shit. Rothschild introduced Dershowitz. Rothschild introduced the Epstein and Maxwell to Douglas Lease too, and I believe to Prince Andrew. She's the go-between. But yeah, great. Former NSA person states the obvious. Hooray. It doesn't matter. I mean, Les Wexner is guilty of so many crimes, and the Bidens are, I mean, goddamn, his son has a laptop full of sexual escapades, drug use, pay to play. They don't care. Not only do they not care, they had 51 people come out and say that's Russian disinformation. All intelligence officers. All perjures themselves. It won't matter until Trump's president. There will not be any other prosecutions. Everybody in that Epstein ring who went to jail or died happened on Trump's watch. Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, Jean-Luc Brunel, Peter Nygaard, Harvey Weinstein. That's who was jailed or suicided or both. All while Trump was still president. Since Biden has been president, not one Epstein pervert has gone to jail. Many of them have done settlements. Prince Andrew had to pay a bunch of money. Leon Black had to pay a bunch of money. People were paying money to keep their names out of the documents. JP Morgan Chase had to do a large settlement. Deutsche Bank is, there. Elizabeth Stein is still suing Maxwell. There's still more lawsuits to come. I think that we have all the information we're going to get. It's all been leaked. There's nowhere to go with it. These people are billionaires. The only vigilante justice is really your only hope. This is how the world works. It's run by satanic pedophiles. They're anti-human. They're anti-life. They want depopulation. They're aiming to destroy you. They rape broken kids. They love to destroy innocence. That's damaging someone's psyche is how they procreate. Yeah. Jess Staley and Glenn Dubin and Les Wexner and Leon Black are all walking around. They're guilty. They're talking about sex with kids and massages and stuff in written documents. Doesn't matter. There's so many Hollywood executives besides Weinstein that do casting couch crap. Steven Spielberg's one of them. He's in the mega donors. Nothing happens. Very odd that the kook movement tagged George Lucas and not Spielberg. Any questions that are not about crypto or kook stuff? Spielberg is a total Zionist. In this movie had who joined here? Let's see. Shiro-san? Mr. White, are you there? Oh, well, we'll see if they learn that I've called on them. I don't know. There's so many people. Look at the COVID fiasco. Is Dr. Fauci in jail? He perjured himself. The NIH did give gain of function research through Echo Health to Wuhan Labs. That's a fact. He lied to Congress. Rand Paul said, "You're parsing words." What happened to Fauci? He ought to be in jail. Nothing. They've taken Israel to court for genocide. It doesn't matter if they're found guilty or not, because there's no consequences anyway. I hope I have created the meme to follow Dershowitz around and going, "I kept my underwear on." I hope that follows him around forever, and I'm proud of starting that. Ribs says, is the reason some of these billionaires not facing prosecution because of statute of limitations, or is it just the fear of prosecuting them because of their mega group connections, or maybe blackmail? They're not connected to mega. They are mega. That's what mega is, the mega donors. It's a group of Jewish billionaires that further the interests of Israel. And it's not because of statute of limitations. It's because they're too powerful. They donate to the people who write the laws. Blackmail, not all these guys are blackmailed. A lot of these guys just enjoy raping kids, and Epstein was providing a service. These are the same people that illegally harvest organs. Of course they rape children. There was a sweetheart deal made where all of his cohorts got protected by the law, but they continued to break the law after that deal was made. Schoenstein and Wexner already have their own employees have accused them of sexual assault and sexual abuse, sexual harassment, minimal. It doesn't matter. They're too rich to prosecute. Like in modern times, that's happened. It still doesn't matter. It's the majority of DC. They're into this freaky crap. I don't know. Check DC for tunnels. There are townhouses in DC that are like Airbnb brothels. They rent them out to service Congress critters with foreign whores, men and women. That's what we're up against. And it doesn't matter. I could walk into one of these and film it. So, and do what? Put the film where? Rumble? I've been asked to go to the UK for the Pearl Davis show. I'm sure I could meet with Sean Atwood too. I just don't know if I can go. Like it's not the money. Like I can afford it and I could probably raise it. That person, Shiro-san, doesn't seem to be here, so I'm gonna get rid of him. It's I just can't leave 3 kids for that long. It's they're quite a handful. They are as independent minded as myself and my wife. So think of like, I don't know, Thomas Jefferson / William Wallace. They they're not easy. Oh, here's somebody. Shido. again, I'm gonna give you one more chance. Speak. They left. Okay. I'm just gonna get rid of the link on Telegram. The way either they don't know how to use it or I don't know. Bam, that's gone. I tried. See if that's back. Just want world peace with 10. What caused Epstein to be arrested the second time? That's a good question. I think Trump's FBI, Trump had personal beef with Epstein and Maxwell. And the complaints have been there forever. Maria Pharma started in 1996. Well, you know, Clinton's FBI wasn't going to do anything, especially with Louis Freech. I think the reason they allowed it, though, is because he was getting sloppy. And it was a black swan that Trump became president. He'd already kicked them off his property at Mar-a-Lago. He already had a bidding war against Wexner to expand the Mar-a-Lago property, which Trump won. And these people had humiliated him, tried to honey trap him, worked with his ex-wife, who he divorced. Then the Kushners had beef with Mark Epstein, their real estate tycoon rivals. And the Kushners are just as sick and honey trap and sexual perverts too. But it's still a different, it's like cartels fighting with each other. They all sell drugs, but they fight over turf. So it seemed to be some internal right versus left-wing Zionism going on. And they nailed him because they already had a replacement. Well, it was funny. They chased Maxwell around for years before they got her. They really only got the intel at the New York place because everything else was whitewashed. They even ordered shredders and concrete to Little St. Jeffrey's. Stuff was being filled in and shredded. They did the same thing in Florida and then tore down the whole house. Paris was completely cleaned from top to bottom. So what they got is, and it was interesting too, in Maxwell's case, Detective Dawson was not allowed to come back and give his final say about a box of something. He wasn't allowed to say what was in it. It's like, is this a box of sex toys or is this a box of CDs and tapes and things? Because if it is, that's something that should have entered the record. They go, no. They didn't let it. They didn't let him come back. And they said, we didn't want him to come all the way up here from Florida and testify in New York, just for one extra day. Are you kidding me? This is like the biggest pedophile case in history. Pay the guy to come talk for an hour or whatever it is. They didn't want it. And what they did photograph, they haven't shown. First of all, it went missing until Richard Kahn brought it back. Kahn. Maybe I wasn't close enough. Kahn. Got a little mini bell, too. Who knows how much had been tampered with, but there it is. There are crates of CDs and tapes of sexual degeneracy, and the FBI is just sitting on it. That should be in the public's interest. Demand that those be shown. Blurted out, pixelated, whatever. That should be shown. Ribs, I heard one of the Chabad tunnel diggers dug too deep to hell. They saw Kissinger and Lincoln giving each other cactus massages. Yeah, they be in there with John McCain, What the fuck were they doing digging tunnels? And people are like, there's a children's museum across the street. Okay, a children's museum doesn't have children in it. And the tunnel didn't go across the street to that. It did, however, go under this mikvah, this like defunct women's place. So I don't know if they're going to like spy on the girls or what, but whatever they're doing down there, the mattresses seem to be for soundproofing because they're all up along the wall. There's blood splattered on there, so maybe they're doing their chicken death rituals or something, but not professional at all. They need to go ask Hamas for tips on how to build tunnels, or maybe the North Koreans. Just looks sloppy. But then again, this Jewish labor. That was the most like shocking thing. Wait, you're telling me they dug it? Like they picked up a pickaxe and physically did work? I don't believe it. I wonder who they hired. There's so much pedophilia. Like Rupert Wilson blew my mind. You can go into any chat room of whatever, and it doesn't matter what the like name of the room is, town square or town hall or whatever. It's just a bunch of perverts saying ASL, 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 age, sex, location. They're desperate. Any girl could go in, boop, and like some guy from India will fly you out to try to fuck you or rape you or whatever. And they don't care how old you are. If you're a girl on the internet, that's what. And I think this is what has led to the debauchery and whoredom of our society is that girls have Snapchat and whatever. Too stupid to know that they can screenshot that, dummy. And they're sending nudes and shit, and they're being solicited by older dudes. By the time girl's 19, she's had sex with more people than someone who's 50. Because this generation is just everything goes, anything we want to do. And before a very wealthy guy, he still has to go find girls, like physically meet them. They don't know that he's wealthy or whatever, but Instagram lets you display it. Here's my yacht. Here's my watch. Here's my whatever. Here's my car. I have money. And lets girls be like, look at me. I'm in a thong. I work out. Da, 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 da. And that guy can just sit there and collect. And they can look and be like, oh, I see your resume. I see all this stuff you own. So he's able to fly people from whatever location to where he is to build a giant harem. Every other guy's left with nothing. And girls are just using Instagram as like their entry to OnlyFans, or you could just stick on the gram. It is a dating app for whores, for sugar daddies and sugar babies. And if you're a parent and you let your daughter have an Instagram, that you better have access to it. She'll just make another secret one. Like, you're a fool. It is a Western phenomenon. It hasn't hit the East yet, but that's what people do. They just go around and collect girls from the gram. We fly you out. That's not going to happen to a guy. Imagine some 18-year-old guy and some woman's like, hey, let me fly you to LA. Everyone's going to be in love with you and give you free drinks. You get to go out on a yacht, private helicopter ride, whatever, dinner at the best restaurants. We're going to buy you clothing and everything else you want free. You just have to be here and be arm candy and probably sleep with some woman. Can you imagine that, guys? Like someone pays for your plane ticket to bring you somewhere to wine and dine you, and just because they want to have sex with you. That's a girl's reality. If you're a good looking girl, you have life on easy mode. If you're willing to exchange the only thing you have of value for riches and fame. But you will be replaced by the next hottie. And so they say men get put in the friend zone, women get put in the fuck zone. Oh, fuck her, but I ain't going to marry her. And I ain't going to love her. And we're not going to have a real relationship. But I think a lot of them take it. They want to go on their gram and put pictures of themselves at luxurious backgrounds and stuff. I guess to impress other women. Because all a man sees when they see a woman in Dubai or whatever is she's a whore. That's all they think of. They see you at some fancy restaurant, they're thinking, who paid for that? Ho. That's my 1 minute of Manosphere Red Pill. It is all going to shit. I feel sorry for the younger generation. You will never marry a virgin on your wedding. It's impossible. Like, at best, she's only had 3 prior people or something. You're never going to marry a virgin. Not happening. A lot of guys are, though. If it wasn't for prostitution, there are a lot of men who would never get laid their whole life. RFK Jr. had his daughter turn it off. Well, good for him. He is cavorting with a dildo selling rabbi, though, so. Rand Paul has an announcement. Let's go check it out. Guys, this was your Q&A. We're going right back to the covering the wars and history and things tomorrow. And maybe Dr. Shiva. We'll see. So I'm going to pop over to Telegram on the phone. If you have that, cool. We're going to continue over there.